This is the special paper we use for rigs. This is called our clock face. You can see the corresponding marks that correspond with our clock, with telling time. When we teach the letter strokes, they correspond with these numbers. So you will see as we start to form these letters, you'll see how they work. So this is an example of a large clock letter. This is used mostly when we form capital letters. These other marks below show where you would start for instance, like the letter F. These show where you would start, for instance, for the letter A. And then these are letters that have a tail, for instance, like a G and a J and a Y. You would use this clock system there, so it shows where the check marks or the checkpoints are. Along with the clock, we also have these corresponding marks so the children know where to start. This dotted line along the side, usually red on this particular piece of paper, though it is black. This is our margin line. So when we start writing, we start close to the margin line. For the clock circle, we are going to space over just enough room for a full round circle, which will sit comfortably close to our margin line. So again, this dotted line is our margin line. We are going to begin at 2 on the clock. Now, keep in mind, we're not referring to the large clock. This is for capital letters. We are referring to 2 on the clock underneath the dotted line. So 2 on the clock would be about right here. So we're going to begin at 2 on the clock. We're going to go up and touch the dots, around to the baseline, back up to 2, and stop and lift our pencil. We'll do it one more time. We're going to space over. We want our clock circles to be comfortably close. We're going to start at 2 on the clock. Go up and touch the dots, around to the baseline, and back up to 2. Keep in mind we're doing the clock model. So if you wanted to be technical, we start at 2. We go up to 12. We round past 10, past 8, to 6, back up to 4, back up to 2, and we practice a nice steady hand and get a nice clock circle. We'll be doing this the first week of school, so each of the scholars can master their motor control and know the direction in which they make their clock circles. Once they've mastered those clock circles, we move on to the next stroke. Our next stroke is called the short line. So beginning at the middle dotted line, again we start close to the margin, we're going to pull a line straight down to the bottom baseline, and we're going to stop and lift our pencil. Middle dotted line, pull a line straight down, and stop and lift our pencil. And we want to practice these comfortably close. Just as when we form words, we want them comfortably close. We don't want them touching, but we want them comfortably close. Start at the middle dotted line, pull a line straight down, and we encourage nice straight lines, so that will help in the formation of our alphabet letters. Then we will move on to the tall line letter. The tall line letter is actually going to start taller. It's going to start up here just below our top baseline. So we'll start right up here. We're going to pull a line straight down past the dotted line down to the baseline and stop and lift our pencil. One steady stroke. Again, comfortably close. Start just below the top baseline. Pull a line straight down and stop. Again, just below the top baseline, pull a line straight down and stop. Okay, our next stroke is the long tail line. We use the long tail line when we're making the letter J and also in the letter G. So the long tail line will look like this. We'll start at the middle dotted line. We'll pull a line straight down past the baseline, and we will stop just before we hit the top baseline of the next row. Again, comfortably close. Start at the middle dotted line, pull a line straight down, just past the baseline, and stop just before we get to the top baseline of the next row. Just a quick review. We've done our clock circle practice. We've done our short line letter practice, our tall line letter, our long tail line letter. Now we're ready for the forward diagonal. So the forward diagonal starts from left to right in the direction we read and write. This stroke will start at the middle dotted line, and we pull a line forward and rest it on the bottom baseline. Again, we want to keep our strokes comfortably close. We'll start again at the dotted line, pull a line forward, set it on the baseline. We're also going to do the same for the backwards diagonal line. This is crucial when we're forming our V's and our W's, that we have these diagonal lines mastered. So with the backwards diagonal line, we're actually going to start on the right side, just above 2 on the clock, at the middle dotted line. And we're going to leave just enough room to fill the space. Remember, you're thinking of an imaginary clock space. You're going to pull a line straight, backwards diagonal, rest it on the baseline. Again, comfortably close, starting at the middle dotted line above 2, pull a line down, set on the baseline. Forward diagonal, backward diagonal. Now we'll show you the short crossbar and the E-bar. The E-bar is used when we form the letter E. So I will demonstrate a short cross line for you, which you'll use in the letter F, and then an E-bar, which you'll use in the letter E. A short cross line starts midway between the dotted line and the top baseline. In the direction we read and write, we're going to pull a line straight across, just like that. It looks like a dash mark. Leave a little bit of space before we start another one. That is called our high crossbar. For the E-bar, we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to go below the dotted line, and this is where we start for our letter E. So I'll demonstrate for you. When we do the letter E, once we've mastered all of these strokes, you can see how we connect the letters. So this is an example of all the letter strokes. This is what we'll be mastering the first week of school before we dive into our alphabet and we work on having beautiful penmanship this year. So we can read and write and do all the things we do in kindergarten.